Playing Fallout New Vegas Fall.
Are you playing Nude Vegas?
New Vegas Fall.
Oh,
Fuck.
well, I wanted to do another video stream thing about how comic books needs a deep freeze dot it.
Comic books are shit.
Comic books are they burning in hell? I don't know. Remember when I used to listen to that podcast?
No.
No,
The fuck.
that was you know what, that was in like 2012 or
Yeah,
13.
that was the comic book support group or whatever. It was like a blog, and then they also had their own podcast thing.
That was no, that was something else, I think. But it was this guy. I'm not going to get into that. But this is a different topic entirely about Deep Freeze It or Deepfreeze.it is a Gamergate website where they document and have an archive of like games journalists and I think sometimes just regular
It's like a
journalists.
backup. I know they backed up like every single thing. They backed up every single thing ever that has ever
That's
happened.
good. It's good to have a backup of everything. But the games journalists like the all their things with collusion or if they've lied an article or I think had to run retraction if they've ever had to run a retraction doesn't necessarily count. Just if they lied if they've ever had a friendship they didn't disclose with someone they were writing about or
But
if they're ever
there
if
was
they ever
some
raped
really
anyone.
serious shit in there too.
Yeah,
Just
there's
like documenting some like legitimate crimes,
yeah.
like not just games journalism, ethics in games journalism. Is that even a thing? And it's like, no, not really. Don't
Is there
ever.
such a thing as ethics in journalism? Nope. Nope.
Anyone who's ever read the fucking journal list knows that. Hell, even before the journal list, I was reading fucking Instapundit, and it's
Yeah.
like, here's people who have been
And
journalists.
Lil Green Football. It was Instapundit and Lil Green Footballs were the real RSGing. So that was the real swallowing of the red sunglasses from They Live before, which is the fucking the real ascendancy beyond the mere piddling red pill. But but yeah, if you read
Killing, hissing, hissing themselves, red pill.
red piss pill, but the yeah, that's where we really learned that the whole ethics and journalism thing never really existed, hasn't for decades now, is from Instapundit. And if you read Instapundit, even on a slight basis, like skim it once or twice a week, you'll see just a fucking permanent archive of one journalist or another writing a false article or pushing some false narrative or sneaking a false narrative into a legitimate news story, not just op-eds and stuff, but legitimate fucking news stories where
Well,
suddenly
the thing I remember in particular that seemed to be the most fucking sneaky and squirrely was that in these universities and in these schools, they teach them how to form like the basis of the headline so that it looks like it's a neutral statement, but is actually completely biased.
yeah, they use
Just like
specific words. They
how
have
to
specific
specifically
words.
not even words, not even words. That's child's play. This is how they form an entire full sentence with like, here's how you make it so that it looks like this thing. So it looks like basically 9/11 is the fault of the American government and American people. Here's how we form the story. We mention all these things which aren't related to the story, but that make America look bad.
Yeah,
And
they taught that
this
down
is
to the
something they
specific sentence
study.
structure.
This is what they study, and they'll get marked down if they don't do this. So there's like no escaping it if you go into journalism. They teach you exactly how to form all these sentences so that they look neutral, but just so happen to bring up facts which are tangentially related, but are also phrased in a way so that the reader can make no other assumption. But oh, America brought 9/11. It's America's fault.
Yeah, and all that's been pretty much documented over the last 15 years of Instapundit and I can't really say the last 15 years of LGF, but they
But
used
of
to
course, some of
study
the
that.
deepest, some of the really, really serious shit was posted. It was like 12 years ago on Instapundit. I couldn't even find it again after searching for a while because it's just like, what do you even search for?
Yeah, it's
It's
that buried.
journalism, 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 and it's just like, here's journalism. Journalists are lying again, and it's like, yeah, but no shit. But where's the fucking report by the guy who went to the university who talks about how they form their sentences. They form sentences, structures, ideas, and concepts in their story specifically to push a biased narrative and make it look like it's neutral.
And they also, that's only coming out more and more over the past couple of years, but it has been completely fully documented and obvious for 15 years easily, but there's also more people finally admitting that yes, if you want to fucking get better grades in your journalism school, just parrot the exact politics of your professor, and don't worry, you'll know what their politics are. They will be
Well, that's not
leftist,
journalism
and you
school
just
anymore. Now
espouse
that's just
leftist
all
values, and your grades go. Like
that's
they've
all
had
school, all universities.
conservatives straight up saying that I'm a conservative, but I started pushing leftist politics in the work that I'm doing in this class, and my grades suddenly started going up more. So,
But
there's
people
that
are
as
acting
far
like
as,
nobody knows.
and yet
People are like, "Oh, it's a big mystery. I don't get it."
deep
Like people are
freeze
going to
hit.
college, they don't get it.
Yeah,
They're not even bothering to share this
they're
information.
also going deep into debt to fucking having to go to school to to not only be indoctrinated, but to learn how to better indoctrinate other people
Yes,
through the
that's
media.
another thing no one's talking about. It's like one of the most obvious problems with college. It's like, oh, everyone's in debt. Nobody can even afford to pay their student loans. It's like, oh, it's the fault of Bush or something.
Yeah, people are acting like they
Trump's at
just found
fault.
this out too. They're acting like, "Oh, did you hear about that?" Yes, I've heard about this fucking 15 years ago. It shouldn't be a secret, but everyone brushed it off as being like, "Oh, that's just conservative conspiracy theories." But no, it was just objective fact all along. Who would have
The
thought?
attempt to smear it as a conspiracy theory is a deflection tactic.
Even Gamergate was fucking kind of cucked up by a lot of that. A lot of them saying, "Oh, we don't want to be on Fox News. We'll be misrepresented, and you don't want to side with the conservatives because we're ourselves are very leftists and that kind of stuff."
Which is basically what sabotaged Gamergate. But Gamergate also made the most progress. They were the ones who went the furthest, and in fact, the first battles against SJWs in culture, the Jews, the first people to do
Jeez.
that, Jews, not because they're Jewish, but just because SJW
But
is
just because
such
it's
a fucking,
phonetic.
it's just a word mash.
It's just
It's such a
phonetic.
shitty, it's just, yeah, it's just phonetically spelled.
Somebody did try to saying like they're called S Jews, and it's like no, it's not. You're a faggot.
It's a Jew.
It's Jew.
Suju.
It's not Jew. It's Sju. Really,
Suju.
that's
It's
the
almost French.
proper pronunciation. You see,
It's almost French because they're Canadian
it is
faggots.
for yes. It's the worst of two worlds: Canadians and French. Holy shit! But yeah, the
How
point
much
is,
worse can they be? And of course, that's our roast of them. They're faggots.
yes. Oh no, we're roasting them. They're faggots. But yeah, deep freeze is
But yeah,
an
Gamergate was
archive.
the first. It was the first strike back against the culture war, which of course this is like after losing and losing for a decade.
Yeah, and everyone just
Finally,
standing
somebody
around not
decided
doing
to
anything
fight
about
back
it.
after a guy had been cheated on by a skank whore
A
feminazi.
complete toilet, a toilet roasty.
But she's just utterly typical of leftist, the left wing,
Yeah,
feminist
she doesn't really stand
women.
out. They call her literally who, but to be honest, she could be replaced with most any woman on the planet.
Literally, who
But
was tranny thing was the fucking melty creature. A
the
melty
melty
creature
ham
sees
beast
you.
faced creature with the giant Adam's apple and the always permanently shocked expression like he just got rammed in the ass with a bad dragon dildo. Tank's
I
house.
wish, I wish you'd get rammed in the ass to death. That. thing, that disgusting thing.
Disgusting creature, melty ham beast faced melty creature. It's just horrifying to behold.
Puts me off my appetite seeing it.
But yes, I didn't mean them though. I just meant basically any of the sociopath toilet roasties.
But that was Chelsea von Valkenburg.
Yes, I know it's doxing her to say her actual
To
real
say her
life
real
name.
name, which everybody already knows. Apparently that's
Inappropriately
toxic. When
Aryan
people dox
sounding.
SJWs, it's like, here's this person who was anonymously sending death threats to themselves to then blame Gamergate. And then when Gamergate doxes people, it's like, oh, we just doxed this person. Now let's go and send them syringes filled with mysterious liquids and tell them to inject themselves. And let's call the FBI. Let's SWAT them. Let's get a SWAT team sent after them.
And of course, calling bomb threats and pulling fire alarms. I mean, they've been, again, that's another thing they've been doing for decades before Gamergate. They've been doing that to conservative speakers since the 2000s when George W. Bush was still president.
But again, it's gamers
But they
who are
got
the
away with
first
it
to
because
strike
George W.
back.
Bush was president.
And then fucking comic book faggots are like, oh, well, we don't like these SJW comics.
After it's
So I'm
already
gonna
over,
buy.
after
I'm
they've
gonna buy a
lost.
few less. We're only gonna buy a few of them instead of buying every single one of them.
Yeah. But and
It's like these comics
unless they're
stuck.
buying them
They've
for their
always
review
stuck.
site.
These comics have always been unreadable tripe.
Yeah, they're
And you're
childish,
the reason
moronic
why.
dog shit.
You are the reason why they have that much power.
Yeah, they got into power
Because they have
because
all this money.
the standards were so low for so long that the 90s weren't the glory days. The 90s were the welcome mat to social justice in comics,
Yeah,
especially
and
the
that's
late 90s.
exactly how it always works. It's like, oh, here's an industry that makes a shitload of money. Let's infiltrate it and then ruin it. And
Or
that's exactly what they did.
except
They
comics don't make
succeeded.
a shitload of money. In fact, it really
Well, not
wasn't until
anymore. They
the
don't. They
comics
can't
movies
anymore.
started making money, and they're like, oh, maybe we could get into the comics and we can start writing the new narrative on, the next decade's movies or something. They're trying to get the new Miss Marvel into cartoons and video games, and they're talking like maybe they'll make a new Miss Marvel, the Muslim Miss Marvel movie someday. And that's, first of all, that's not going to happen because the
It
general
ain't never
populace
gonna
wants to
happen.
has to want to read it. But
Not to mention that the fucking comics are basically just filled with hate at every single
yeah,
moment.
not just
It's
the
just like,
comics,
how
the
can we
creators
hate?
themselves, the comics themselves, but the creators themselves in social media is now a perfect platform for them to display how much they hate other people,
The
usually other
creator
comics
of fucking
creators
the
and readers.
Camel Khan is a white cosplaying woman
Yeah,
who is being a fucking who's actually said Islam was most in line with my feminist beliefs.
that was another white feminist Muslim convert, but she does look almost
Oh,
identical. It, what is the difference anymore? It's one roasty or another, but still,
they're all
and
the
that's the thing.
same.
Over the past week alone, comics creators for Marvel, who are all coincidentally have social justice values and are leftists, have been attacking creators. And I forgot who it was. Was it Tamara Bond Villain, who was saying, who was basically taking screen caps or something. I don't know the whole story in perfect detail. Again, I have the memory of a fucking trauma victim, but the some
Our
guy
minds are
posted
so
some guy
full of
posted screen
knowledge.
caps of the comics he bought from Alterna Comics, and so she was like, "This guy bought comics from Alterna Comics, but Alterna Comics, they follow diversity in comics." And it's like, so you're basically calling your friends to harass this comics fan and this publisher, And, which is, of course, exactly what happens because that is social justice. There is no social justice unless someone is getting harassed. You can't fucking have social justice otherwise. From the same people, of course, who always whining like little faggots about harassment, who actually deserve it
Whining
themselves.
like a
Social justice
little
people
bitch.
deserve harassment. They deserve a lot more than harassment, of course, but they deserve harassment, if anything. But, the thing is, there needs to be a deep freeze for those people, for social justice warriors. Basically, in comics, there needs to be a deep freeze for comics, and maybe not deep freeze itself, maybe something else. But somebody needs to
Social
basically
justice,
keep an archive of this
social justice
behavior so that
warriors.
people can point to it and say, "Here's this creator for Marvel, like here's Dan Slott, or here's whatever other fat bald fucking dipshit
Social
loser
justice warriors
hack."
need to be put in a deep freeze.
Overrated,
It's
shitty
an
writer.
actual freezer
Oh,
to be
Mark
frozen
Waid
to
was another one.
death.
But like people need to like take Mark Waid and start archiving and listing all the things he has done to abuse fans or other creators, all the times he screamed at people. People need to stop covering for them because he wrote a Spider-Man comic I liked. These superhero comics fans really are so cucked that they're defending this shitty behavior, and that's why it's been allowed to continue. Mark
The
Waid didn't
industry is
become a
so
social
corrupt.
justice warrior recently. He's been one for decades. And he's been in the industry for decades, and he's been doing the same shit for decades. People are only pretending like they just now noticed that this stuff is in comics. It didn't just start happening. It's been there for a long time.
And they've been allowing it. A lot of them have been like, this has also been true with gaming, but it's even worse in comics, where like an author is just a loathsome piece of shit, and they're trying to push a narrative in the comic too. And it's like, oh, but this comic's really great because you see fucking Daredevil's in it, and it's like, so it's like, but Daredevil's in it.
Daredevil has this really cool fight. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit who if they're having a cool fight. Show me a comic like fucking Berserk in fucking American
The
comics.
lettering is really good in this comic.
Yeah.
What?
Even like Fairy Tale sucks, but show me an American comic that even reaches that level, at least of fucking audience satisfaction of like, oh no, this woman, this cute girl with the pinku hair is getting whipped so hard that her clothes are ripping off. That's fucking great. You won't see that in American comics because like, oh, the male gaze is so disgusting in this comic. They would fucking petition to change the comic, censor this comic,
They'll
change the
write
cover.
huge, giant fucking screeds. There'll be 10 fucking articles in one day from the same fucking,
Yeah.
just like the same BuzzFeed fucking conglomerate
Yeah, let's not
that
forget,
owns all
change
these fucking Gawker and shit like
change the
that.
cover wasn't last year, and it wasn't 2015. It was fucking earlier than that. Oh, I think it was. Maybe it was early 2015. I don't know. But
It was a while ago. Yes, it
yeah,
was a while ago. This is not a new phenomenon.
yeah, and so there needs to be an archive. There needs to be some kind of documented behavior of this shit that they've been pulling for a long, long time so that people can point and say, okay, here's Mark Waid. Why do people dislike Mark Waid? Why are people against Mark Waid? Here's why. Here are the annotated fucking bullet points to show the exact reasons why. So that people can't say, oh, Mark Waid's okay. He's written some really good comics.
It's
It's time
reading
to
some
get
really
past
good
that.
comics, like it's horrible gay shit.
Look at this really dumb, retarded fucking shit. It's got superheroes. It's great.
It's got somebody flying around. This is the most important storytelling of our era.
It's the modern mythology. That's the fucking their new like rationalization for why superheroes are supposed to be relevant today. It's
Meanwhile,
they're not.
video games are eating their lunch.
They're
Video games
eating
have
their lunch, their
stepped in.
dinner. They're throwing the fucking they're throwing empty Lunchables on the floor, and comic books are just scrabbling for the empty Lunchable containers.
Comic books are scrabbling. They're fighting between the rats and the dogs for the leftovers, and they're losing.
Comic books are licking the nacho cheese off the fucking plastic covering of the fucking Lunchable container that
They're
video
fucking
games
wiping
throw
it off.
away.
They're wiping it off with their finger and putting it in their mouth and sucking the nacho cheese. after all the nachos have been gone, all the nacho dust has been fucking licked clean by the animals. What are they, me?
Where are they? Me? They're licking up the nacho cheese just off your
The
fingers?
nacho cheese and the fucking salsa that's left over after you
But
ran out
wait,
of the
that's something
nachos?
I like to do. But yeah, superhero comics have, to be honest, I have fucking seen it with my own eyes for
That's
years
a
and
new
years.
video, though. That'll be another video. So video games have surpassed comic books as a storytelling medium, and it's not because it's so easy.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
because
exactly
comics
easy.
have failed
And video
so much.
video games don't even do it that well most of the time either.
No,
But
they don't have to.
well, should we do that just as our next video right now?
Nah, that should be saved. That should be saved for later. But there was something
Like a
else.
treasure, save it like a fine wine, a box of fine wine.
The
Well,
French. The
the
French.
French Canadians. Ugh. Oh, that's a different.
But what was the other thing?
Well, I was going to mention that I've noticed for many, many years in comics, like going back to the 2000s, is that superhero comics fans are some of the weakest, most effeminate, whiny people, and I hate to admit it. It's true of anime fans too, though. They are so fucking weak.
Especially anime fans.
Yes,
Holy
anime fans are
shit.
actually, I would say, worse, but it's hard to quantify that close to the bottom. They are the biggest fucking whiny sissies.
It really is like looking at the bottom of a deep dark well.
Yes, but that's why the thing is that's why social justice could so easily infiltrate comics because these people just throw giant sissy fits over costume
And
changes.
they're
They've
very
done that for.
thirsty too.
Let's not pretend that the superhero comics community is actually a great community. It really isn't.
Yeah, it is a very shitty
If we're
community
going to
full
do that, we might as well
of
pretend
little
that the
bitches.
anime fan community is a really good community. They're not. They're fucking annoying, fat Asperger's retards with terrible taste in entertainment and art. And the only thing is, they're just easily impressed by surface details. And if you're going to be just impressed by the bare minimum, that's fine. If you're going to be entertaining, if you're going to be entertained by some dumb shit, that's perfectly fine. It's your because it's your dollar and it's the market. But the thing is that manga is doing it better, even on that level of just base consumer desire, because there are no limit. You open up a fucking American comic book, you're not going to see some horrifically male gaze objectified image of women with thigh gaps and fucking giant beaver shots with their legs spread and all that kind of shit. But you open even a kid's manga and you're going to see all of that, and she's not even going to be wearing clothes, and she'll be crying in fear over the brutal whipping she's about to receive. It's just wonderful. It's delightful.
And then you get it in all its loving detail.
Yes, the
It
loving,
doesn't cut away. It does not cut away to be like, oh
adoring
no,
detail. The camera is
come
just
back.
in love with that whip as it's cracking over her tight, muscular ass. Every sinew
And she's in
detailed.
perfect shape. She's in perfect, immaculate shape.
Yes, perfect, fucking perfect shape to be objectified. Wondrous the detail. It's just great, and that is why. That's where comics readers have gone. They're not quitting Marvel and DC. They already quit years ago because it's so blatant to see that Japanese comics are more entertaining. And as we've reviewed previously, just look at the Delicious and Dungeon review. They even know how to make good comics better than Americans do. And Americans may still make some good comics, but you're not going to find them in indie comics either, and you're not going to find them in superhero comics for like the 99.99%. Now you could say that Batman White Knight is actually pretty good, and people are talking about Mr. Miracle, and I haven't read any of them because again, they're superhero comics. You gotta go beyond just selling
But it
me.
also goes to how many. It goes to show how many they crank out. Even Spider-Man is like, oh, the number one poll list sales are Spider-Man. Okay, how many people read Spider-Man? Nobody. nobody gives a fuck about Spider-Man. He's completely ruined.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who reads
So
Spider-Man
what are you left
comics.
with? Oh, Batman and Mr. Miracle. And okay, but there's 300 other concurrent superhero characters just in the big two alone that are all getting stories.
And they usually have multiple books each. Like there's three different Spider-Man books all at the same time. I think four or five even. I don't even fucking know.
Peter Parker's in two of them, and then Mild Morales is in two of them also. And then there's also Gwenpool and fucking. We're gonna review
Spider
that issue of
Gwenpool.
Silk. I think don't we still have that issue of Silk?
Oh yeah, Silk, which was kind of good because she gets brutally beaten in it. It's fucking great.
I had to admit, I actually gave a shit where the story seemed to be going, and it contained no Suju bullshit, and it seemed like there was an actual character there.
The
It's
the
like,
uh,
oh,
the
what's going
the
on?
story ended literally the next issue. It
Oh,
went
well, great.
nowhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
I found it and I fucking actually read it because I was
But
kind of
also,
interested too.
DNC reviewed the first issue, and it was like all just Suju shit. But we have issue 6, and it's like the authors. It was like editorial mandate. You have to.
Yeah, you know what though? I have no idea how they were fucking even doing the rules or who keeps an eye on what or does what in any of the Marvel comics a year ago, 2 years ago, or now anymore. And I kind of don't want to know. The thing is,
But I can imagine that like somebody out there, or the people trying to make these stories are just like, I just want to fucking be able to write what I want. I don't want to implant all this shit about Trump. Can we not tweet about Trump
well, I think they
50
do.
times a
If
day?
if
And
they
then
don't
the
want
people
to,
who
they
make
don't.
the editors are like, you have to or you're fired. It's kind of like the guy who made 2B.
I think
It's like you have to render her ass perfectly or you're fired. Except that this is like the far opposite end of the fucking
one,
testosterone
yeah,
spectrum.
one of the other, and to be honest, I wouldn't even say it's a guy raging with testosterone either. It's a
No,
Japanese
just
male. He's
just
not
a Japanese
exactly
guy.
the paragon of testosterone, but at the same
Just
time,
compared to American men nowadays,
and
soy boy.
not just testosterone, but fucking like strength of desire and like enforcing your intellect and and just what you like and enjoy and saying here's what I like and enjoy and it's a good thing because I like and enjoy it,
It's
therefore it's
somewhat
going to be
feminized
in
over
this.
there, but the cancer of feminism hasn't. It's like they actually took the propaganda to heart. It's like, oh, we should all be considered treated as equals, and let's try and get along with each
The
other,
greatest
which is
modern
what
social
we
construct
tell
myth.
everyone in America and then don't actually do.
Equality is the biggest myth of the modern civilization. There is no such thing as
Exactly.
equality, and there
But
never
it's
will
like you can
be.
actually see women get punched in the face in anime and shit.
That would be the closest thing to equality, even, and that's still
But
not
it's
allowed.
like they actually listened to the bullshit that Americans have been spewing ourselves
Yeah,
when it
but
comes to
then they
that
took
shit.
it. They took it to it. You were even pointing out like the writer of the music for Guerrilla War on the NES and Chrysalis and shit a few other like Russian, not Russian Attack, but it was like some other goofy game, was a fucking lady broad.
Yeah, and I was wondering, it's like, oh shit, man, she made these games, and it's like, just according to Wikipedia, it's like, oh, what other games did she do the music for? And it's like, her career spans from 1988 to 1994, and it's like, okay, that's 6 years,
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but
and then there's nothing else.
and the
It's like, what
music
happened?
isn't like fruity, feminine, weak, wimpy, like Lilith Fair shit. It's like poppy, peppy, fucking chip tune NES music.
The
Made
soundtrack
for
to
games where you
Chrysalis
throw
is
grenades
great.
at people and blow them up in fucking Cuba, where you win the fucking Bay of Pigs invasion. Do we get to
You
win this
actually
too?
are
You do.
supposed to be, but you're actually supposed to be fighting on the side of the Cubans.
Oh, whatever. Well, you're killing Cubans to liberate Cuba.
You're also killing you. Well, of course, I mean it's a socialist hellhole, so of course you're killing Cubans to liberate Cubans. That's how that works. That's just how it works.
Lol.
Lol. But fucking, but yeah, the soundtrack for Chrysalis is amazing.
Yes, and that's the point of this whole
Recommended.
video.
That's the point of this whole video. 10 out of 10, the soundtrack for Chrysalis.
Yes. And so make
Oh,
sure.
wait, no, wait. What's our new review rating? It's how many weeks we would go on a desert island before we burn it for campfire
Yes.
kindling. And the answer for the Chrysalis soundtrack is never.
Yes. I would definitely burn a fucking issue. I would burn Mark Waid's greatest comic, whatever his best, supposedly best comic is that he's ever written. I would burn that fucking within days before I
Burn
ever
that
burn the
within
Chrysalis
minutes.
soundtrack.
Burn that immediately. Burn without reading.
Yes.
Burn without reading.
Burn before reading instead of burn after reading. That's how we do it with cape shit.
I would immediately throw an issue of, I would in the
Fucking.
fire
Well, you would throw away Watchmen and burn it. Oh shit.
before I considered even
Well,
trying
then
to
again, we've
dispose
read
of
Watchmen,
Chrysalis
so
soundtrack.
I don't have to read Watchmen
I
again.
read
I've already
Watchmen.
read it.
I guess my review score
Would
of
you
Watchmen would
would
be
you rather
2 weeks.
would you rather watch the movie by visionary Hack Snyder of Watchmen than read the
I might
comic of Watchmen?
I might just, because that was actually not a bad movie. Of course, that was early in his career
Well,
before he turned to shit.
the movie can be questionable at least. Although I fucking saw it in the theater
Kind of
twice,
like
in
some of
fact.
my bowel movements might be questionable.
I liked it
Questionable
because it was a
consistency.
fucking, as a movie, it's just a weird superhero movie because it's just about a bunch of just mostly losers. Even the fucking the god, even Dr. Manhattan is kind of a loser
Mhm.
because he's
And
just
then there's
sad,
the comedian goes around beating up other members of the Watchmen
shooting pregnant women, he's
with a baseball bat
raping the shit out of
covered in
people.
barbed wire.
But anyways, the point of this video is supposed to be that comic books needs to deep freeze it. We would probably have to be in it ourselves, I guess. But
Well,
we
the problem is that they're not good enough.
even
They're
well
not good
with
enough to get it.
everything we've
You don't get
said,
it.
we're not even close to the fucking behavior of these actual social justice comic book people. The people in the comic book industry who espouse social justice are fucking far because they're putting their shit into practice. We're just saying this shit on a video. They're actually going out and looking for publishers who aren't social justice and being like, attack these people, attack their business because they don't share our politics. And we would definitely have some harsh things to say about that as far as, social justice. But hey, we're not doing anything and we're not mobilizing or any of that kind of shit. We'll just say, hey, that's Mord behavior. And as long as we don't point out what Mord is, no one can find out that it's something you would be banned for saying, which is good. That's a good
You get in
tactic.
quite a bit of trouble
We'd get in
saying
some
that.
huge trouble. We'd get fucking banned on site for finding out if people found out what Mord means.
Our
But
videos will be flagged and demonetized
yes,
before we even post them.
before we could say anything. But yeah, so yeah, just the behavior of these social justice creators should be permanently archived and fucking and
Yeah, if
monitored
you really
regularly.
wanted to fight back against them properly,
Yes, especially so you can point to it and say, here's what they have done wrong, and
yeah,
they
here's the
either have to
archive
make good on
catalog
it.
of it.
They either have to make good on it, or they have to be fucking. They have to be known. They have to be known. Name and shame. It is their tactics, but except it's not to destroy them. It's just so that they have to own their opinions. It's not even an attack. It's like, hey, you're gonna have that opinion. You're going to have to own it. And I think most of these, most people in social justice don't even have that kind of strength. They're complete cowards. They wouldn't even own their opinions. But let's find out. Somebody should make a fucking website. Not me though. I'm not gonna fucking do it. I
Somebody
got
ought to
better
make a
shit to
fucking
do with my time.
somebody ought to make a fucking website.
Somebody ought to make a fucking website. About what?
Yeah, that's the thing is that people have to fucking. These people are not heroes or brave, and they're not martyrs. Like if you go and fuck with them, they're not going to be like, oh, we need to be emboldened by this attack, they will back down immediately. People don't understand that either. I'm
Yeah,
the only one
they
who
would run
understands that.
right out of they would run themselves out of comics. You don't have to run social justice out of comics. They would run themselves out of comics if you simply document their behavior. That's all you need. And no one's been doing it. Really, no
It's
one
also
gives that
true
much
with
of a shit
feminism.
because the most of the people in comics who would give a shit are reading superhero comics, so they're a little fey themselves. They're a bit of the fagulas themselves. And hey, I don't like saying that because I want to say, hey, the superhero comics guys are going to save us, but they're not. Most of them are really whiny and stupid,
They're
with a
about
very
half
few
a bag.
exceptions, to be honest.
They're about
And
half
I
a
can only
bag.
go by what I've seen too. I can't say from what I've seen because from what I've seen is like 99% of them are the biggest whiniest faggots. And this is going back many years. This is going back before the fucking 2010s. So again, we can only go by what we've seen, and like DNC is one of the only exceptions. To be honest, a lot of the other fucking comics gate guys doing videos, um, they're not exceptions. A lot of them are fucking really dumb or whiny faggots too. And they're spending shitloads of money on these comics that they hate. And it's like you just gotta dump them and move
That's
on
where
to
we
something
get
better.
that's where we actually came up with the concept for our own show. Is that we don't have the money to drop $5 on it's the new Spider-Man's out. Oh, fucking Ms. Marvel is out. We're not doing that.
No.
But we do have the money for fucking dollar bins.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the whole point of this review kind of show thing is. We have the money for the dollar bins, and old comics might at least have some morbid curiosity, especially from the early 90s when there was literally hundreds of like small publishing houses that was usually some guy in his basement because the comics industry was so thriving. And the thing is, it could have stayed like that for a while, and it didn't because a lot of the comics that were coming out were fucking dog shit. But at the same time, the speculator market also. But anyways, these are all a bunch of different topics. We got way off topic. Not that it matters too much, but the general thrust is that there should be some kind of documenting of the bad behavior of social justice people in comics. And that's all need to be said. And make sure, even more importantly, though, make sure to like, share, subscribe, unlike, relike, unsubscribe, fucking hit the bell 3 times for unnotifications, hit the bell 4 times for trans notifications.
Stop checking your email because who still uses
Yes.
email? Might as well be in the newspaper.
I don't know if the notification bell even asks you anymore. Last time I hit it, it didn't even ask me if it would give me email notifications or not. It was really annoying. But make sure to donate to our Patreon and Hatreon and Repatreon and Unpatreon.
Ultra Patreon.
Yes, that's the next level of Patreon. It's so advanced, it's not even out yet. It doesn't even exist. But donate to it anyways,
Donate
and
to
then
that
go away,
anyways.
but then come back.
Faggots.
Go away, stop watching our videos, but then come back for when we do a new one. Goodbye, fuckers.